Okay. So this clip is going to be a little bit choppy because I really want to highlight what Wild says about the Philadelphia Eagles and the tush push and what Ben Johnson said about the tush push and like the lack of explosiveness. Nick Wright talks a little bit, but it has nothing to do with Philly or the tush push. It has to be about Ben Johnson as a coach with the Chicago Bears. And so I'm making this centered around kind of this whole idea of essentially the Philadelphia Eagles and their success with all of this. So I want to play what Ben Johnson had to say, and then I'm going to skip to Wild's take on it, and it's going to make sense. I promise you, but let's just jump right into it.
Man, I tell you what, does it become an explosive play ever? Have you ever seen a tush push become an explosive play?
Does it become a first down or a touchdown?
Yeah, I like explosive play. I like big plays. So I'm not a big tush push guy myself.
I mean, Brew, you're
No, I would like to go if I
go for it. This guy is unbelievable. The floor is yours.
KW.
And then yours, because you really want to sing on this.
But
Yeah, okay, and that's what I want to go to because then they start talking about other stuff, and I want you to hear what Wild says now.
Throw one more
ahead.
thing to you, Brew. What I didn't like about it was a faux confusion from Ben Johnson. The tush push. Have you ever seen that go for an explosive play? Have you ever seen it? Like, what? No, dude. They're trying to get 1 yard. Maybe 2. Like, not me. I like explosive play. Well, so do the Eagles, buddy. I think they may have had more explosive plays than the Lions. I have to double check that. But the Lions are not some, 1, 2, 3 yards in a cloud of dust team necessarily. They were still opening it up. So just to be so flippant to the reporter's like, hey, they did win the Super Bowl. Not me. I like explosive plays. What is it, 4th and 1 on the goal? I'm going to throw it to 30 yards, like Bo Jackson in there. And this is my final point, Brew. I'm still fired up, even though I said I was going to get you the ball.
Do your thing.
I'm going to be a little, this is my Tom Cruise, A Few Good Men moment. Then why did you vote against it? Why did the Chicago Bears, if the tush push, not explosive, why did you vote against it? Because there's only one team, this is like a Bleacher Report thing, they put it together, even though it's not the most hard research in the world. The Lions were the only team who the Eagles have on their schedule next year who said, you know what, tush push, we'll roll with it. That's fine. Every other opponent voted against it. But on Friday, November 28th, in Philadelphia, 3 o'clock, turns out that tush push, pretty effective.
Well,
Yeah. And that's what I highlight. And again, Brew now starts talking about the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson, nothing to do with Wilds. Wilds is the only one that really brought it to the Philadelphia Eagles, which is why I cut this clip in the way that I did. I normally don't do it this way, but yeah. It really is ridiculous because I did double check, and the Philadelphia Eagles did have more explosive plays. Philadelphia Eagles had 93 explosive plays to the Detroit Lions 90. So, I do think it's kind of silly. Listen, I can defend Ben Johnson as being, a new head coach, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think he meant it in this, like, big, strong way, but, like, it's a bizarre thing to say about the team that just won the Super Bowl. To just be like anything but like, yeah, you know what? I understand the tush push is successful. It works well for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to be building my offense a little bit differently for them. Obviously, it worked well for them. They won a Super Bowl, but, I have some ideas of what I want to do with this, especially in some short yardage situations, and I'm excited to get after it with Caleb and company. That's it. But this idea of like, was it explosive? I don't know, huh? Did you check the record? Oh, check the record. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. And they won a Super Bowl. And the quarterback is the MVP. Like, that check the record. And they have more explosive plays than you do. How about that? The team that you got rocked, the Commanders, the Philadelphia Eagles, rocked them. So, put it in perspective there, bud. So it just, you got to understand, and this is something that the Philadelphia Eagles understand better than almost anyone, except for, ironically, the Kansas City Chiefs, and don't freak out. Andy Reid deeply understands, doesn't really matter how you win. It's just kind of like that you win. And I highlighted this in the Bears video that I made with regards to this clip of like in 2022 and 2021 and years past, the Kansas City Chiefs explosive plays, as high as you can go, him and Mahomes, etc., etc. Then they realized the team is not exactly like that, so they change it up a little bit. Explosive plays absolutely plummet. Like the Kansas City Chiefs are at the near bottom of the least amount of explosive plays. And yet they still get to multiple Super Bowls and even won a Super Bowl. And they would have won the third one if it wasn't for the Philadelphia Eagles and their lack of explosive plays, I guess. So it's just kind of absurd. Not to mention Ben Johnson. Did you see the explosive play in the Super Bowl? Did you see Jalen Hurts throw that ball to Devontae in the Super Bowl? Yeah. Did you see Saquon Barkley, rip off, and Jalen Hurts for that matter, 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown runs in the playoffs? Okay, just not sure if you're watching those games. But anyway, it's just one of those things where it's just your goal as a coach is to not fit the team to your identity. Okay? Your goal is to allow the team to dictate that and be adaptable and change things game to game, drive to drive, season to season, week, a chunk of 4 weeks to a chunk of 4 weeks. Like, it's always kind of, changing here. This isn't a video game. And this is something that the Philadelphia Eagles understood deeply, and this is something that the Kansas City Chiefs have understood deeply. And lo and behold, they've been the two best teams in the NFL for the last, since what, 2017. They've been the two most successful teams. They've both been to the most amount of Super Bowls together. So, it's just kind of silly. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to kind of throw that out there, especially with regards to the Eagles. The Eagles didn't need to feel the need to ever try to prove a point to anyone. And that is exactly why they ended up winning. And I really love this. And I said this in the Chicago Bears video. I'm filming both these videos like kind of together, so it's like a little weird. There's some overlap, but I understand that a lot of Bears fans are not going to be watching this Eagles video, and a lot of Eagles fans aren't going to be watching this Bears video. But one of my favorite things throughout the playoffs, and I really do mean this. This is funny. It was against the Packers. And when they handed the ball off, and the Eagles fans at the link were booing them. And Tom Brady, I got to find when he, the clip when he officially says it, but he's pretty much just like, I understand why they're booing, but this is the right play. There's no reason to take a chance right now. You're winning the game. You're in control. You're managing the game. That is the smart thing to do. They weren't like, we got to show the world that Jalen Hurts can throw for 700 yards. They're like, I don't care if the dude throws for 17 yards. We're just trying to win this game. That's it. Nothing else. We're not trying to send a message. We're not trying to let the league know that Jalen Hurts has returned and now the Eagles are unstoppable. None of that. They're just trying to win the game. And they did. And, you manage games. Sometimes you have explosive plays. And you know what? The Eagles never really tried to send a message. When the Detroit Lions, in multiple games, tried to send a message. Against the Bears, against the Cowboys, especially those two teams. Like, they're not the line. I don't know if I just said the Bears. No, I got it right. I'm getting confused now because he's going to be coaching the Bears. The Lions with Ben Johnson, that offense, tried to send a message to the Chicago Bears last season, and also as well as last season, to the Dallas Cowboys. And listen, sometimes that's exciting. Sometimes that's great. As a fan of football, I can get behind it. It could be energizing. It's entertaining, etc., etc. And the Eagles just never cared about that. People said the Eagles better come out and win huge against the Cleveland Browns. And I even said, listen, it would be a little uncomfortable if the Eagles, coming out of the bye, struggled to beat the Browns. I even said that going into that game. And then as the weeks went on, you kind of had the realization it doesn't matter. And it was also this last season that I really embodied this view more than I ever had, because I started verbalizing my opinions more and more with this channel. And I really reached the firm conclusion. I hope I don't forget it, because sometimes you make conclusions and you draw a conclusion about a philosophy that you have, and it's easily forgettable. It's why religions tell you to, like, you got to keep going to church. You got to keep going to all the stuff and keep reading your Bible and any other background that you have, because you forget it. You got to be reminded, oh, right, I got to be good to my neighbor. Duh. I always forget that. And it's just like, I really reached the conclusion, I don't care about how much you win by. I really don't. I don't care that you blow out a bad team, that you send a message that you can do whatever you want offensively or defense. Like, that doesn't matter as much unless it's against a great team. Then that's wildly impressive. But running the score up on the Dallas Cowboys when they've been a mess, or you're running trick plays against the Chicago Bears who have been a mess, that means nothing to me. That truly means nothing to me. Because then, and on the same breath, people were like, oh, well, the Eagles, they almost lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Lions hung like 50 on them or whatever. And it's like, okay. And the Eagles hung 55 on the Commanders, the team that rocked you, but the defense. Your offense didn't look better either. Your offense could have put up 55. Why didn't they? Your offense was supposed to be better than the Philadelphia Eagles, and your offense was healthy. Why didn't you hang 55 on them? So it's just, all this stuff always has to be put into context. And it can't always be this all or nothing thing. So it is just bizarre to, like, I don't know. I think sometimes we use, and I think at the surface he was trying to kind of be funny. I really do. But it's just, I don't know, man. I try not to make something out of nothing. And to be very clear, I don't think that this is something, or this is this big, gigantic thing, or anything like that. Because I really, really don't. But I think it still is weird, honestly. Like, I'm trying to put it into words, and I'm struggling a little bit. Because it's just, honestly, like, I'm trying to give Ben Johnson the benefit of the doubt of just, like, trying to make a joke and swinging and missing, which happens to anyone. But it's just, I'm trying to think that, like, if that was even remotely the time and place or the idea. Like, I just don't think so. And so it is just weird. And to me, it represents a more, I think what it is that it represents more of a common theme around the Philadelphia Eagles. And I guess just some of the lack of respect for their accomplishments and what they've been able to achieve. And people have talked about the Detroit Lions over these last couple of years as being an unbelievably awesome team and as being like a true Super Bowl contender. And a lot of these preseason things in 23 and 24 and whatnot had them as the front runner to go the distance. And you even had, even after this year, after the Eagles won, Amon-Ra St. Brown's like, yeah, well, if we were healthy, and it's like, well, we saw what you were healthy and you couldn't even get past the 49ers. And that's just, you were fully healthy and you couldn't get past the 49ers. And the 49ers simply can't get past the Chiefs. And yet the only like real team to ever truly embarrass the Kansas City Chiefs was the Philadelphia Eagles. And they've now been, like I said before, they've been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. And 3 Super Bowls in like 8 years. And 2 Super Bowl wins. They've done more in that stretch than Ben Johnson and the Detroit Lions ever did. And so it's just weird to throw that stone. It just doesn't make sense. I could understand if the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl, lost in the NFC Championship game. Even then, I think it would be a weird comment, and I still stand by what he should have said, where it's just like, hey, it works well for the Eagles. That's awesome. It's not kind of how I envision this offense running, but hey, you never know, haha, and just like leave it at that, but like just the fact that he was pretty much just being like, like Wild said, this like fake, this just fakeness to it, as well as, saying I like explosive plays, implying that the Eagles weren't explosive when they literally had more explosive plays and they won the Super Bowl and hung 95 points in the NFC Championship game and Super Bowl and set the record for the most points scored in a conference championship game? Like, are we serious here? In 3 games, see this number that I highlighted right here? This is how many points the Lions scored in 3 games in 2023 in that playoff run. And the Eagles in 2 games scored more than the peak Lions. I mean, the Eagles almost doubled what the Lions scored against the Commanders. The Eagles had, I think it was like 38 points per game in the playoffs last season. And the Lions averaged 28. And the Eagles could have scored even more. Saquon Barkley decided to essentially slide. He could have scored more against the Packers. It was a snowstorm against the Rams. The game was won against the Commanders by a lot. I mean, they obviously easily could have scored more. That's, obvious. Same thing in the Super Bowl. I mean, they downplayed what they were able to achieve. Something the Lions always refused to do. Which is fine. Didn't work out for you. The Eagles, in all of Ben Johnson's career with the Lions in playoffs, the Eagles have multiple games where they've scored more points than the most amount of points that a Ben Johnson-led offense ever did. And the Eagles have done it multiple times. So they've scored more than Ben Johnson has ever had in a playoff game, and the Eagles have done it multiple times more. You understand what I'm saying? It's a little weird phrasing. So it's just that's why a comment like that is just dumb. I mean, it just is. And I went on a whole rant about Ben Johnson. He needs to learn, he needs to grow, he needs to evolve, and I think he will. But today, in 2025, it's a stupid comment to make. It just is. And it's what makes a comment extra dumb is when it's not even accurate. And what makes it extra dumb is when you make an inaccurate comment or joke trying to pull down and imply that this other team is less than when they've done something that you've never done. And quite frankly, haven't even been close to doing. Just the reality of the situation. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Ben Johnson throwing a little bit of shade and making an extra big deal about it for the sake of whatever with the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.